I'm your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the now fall-like confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check this episode exclusively here on Substack. However, if you're looking to catch more content from the Blunt Talk Sports podcast, you can check the show out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Patreon, Trovo, and as well as on Podbean. Happy to be here with you guys on this beautiful September 8th, 2025. We're going to jump into the wild and crazy weekend of week one games from the NFL. Also, some remaining house cleaning news like Jameson Williams' contract and Cam Hayward getting his deal reworked. So we're definitely going to make sure we speak on all those things. The crazy game last night in Buffalo between the Ravens and the Choke Fest that they displayed, how Buffalo looked impressive. So we're going to touch on all those things. But before we do, we want to make sure we give a shout out to several friends of the show. If you guys watch the show avidly, and if you haven't, it's your first time watching it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But right now, StubHub and Viagogo, the number one and number two leading ticket sellers in the world to live events, shows, and concerts, currently has a few huge promotions going on right now. As you see on the screen here with the StubHub promotions, there are several promotions geared to college football. I would implore you guys, if you're near any of the universities, if you've been a part of the university experience, or if you played or just been a part of college football, there is nothing like it. I implore you to definitely make time out this fall before it gets real cold and the weather gets real bad. Make some time out with family and friends to get out and get, part of that college experience, whether it's the games, the tailgating experience. StubHub has it all. I implore you to definitely check that out. Also, too, October, next month, looming very fast. NBA basketball season is fast approaching. Tickets are currently on sale. Schedules are already set. We now know that the NBA is going to be back on NBC. So there's a lot of things that the NBA is trying to really do to recapture the fan base and get fans back into the seats. Definitely check out StubHub if you're looking to catch some NBA games this year. And also further, if you're looking for my Viagogo, my UK subscribers, got a lot of subscribers out there in the UK that are definitely looking to get out. If you're looking at the FIBA Euro basketball tournament, we all know that ends September 14th. So you definitely want to make sure you're getting out right now and getting the most out of that tournament. Catch the NBA, the Euro, NBA EuroLeague players. See as many of them play as much as you possibly can before they're eliminated out of the tournament. Or, it just ends. Either way, make sure you definitely check Viagogo for those tickets. Also, Oasis is going through a reunion tour. You have the Formula One Dutch and Italian Grand Prix, and you have summer music festivals that are just wrapping up, and Blackpink's Deadline World Tour. So definitely check that out on Viagogo. And last but not least, for my avid gamers out there, if you're a big PlayStation fan like myself, I implore you to check out PlayStation Direct. Whether you're looking for consoles, accessories, or just things to just immerse or enhance your PlayStation experience, don't forget to check out PlayStation Direct. The link will be in the description box of this video. Sony PlayStation, more than a game. All right, guys, thanks for sitting through all of that. But now we can get to the good parts. Now, getting to the games and looking at the week one recaps. I took some time to definitely make sure I sat and watched a lot of the games. I didn't watch every single solitary game, so I'm going to give you the games that I watched, that I keyed in on, that I thought were of interest to me, and I thought might be of interest to you to review. We already did the Eagles and Cowboys preview. If you didn't check that out, I implore you to check that out now. A lot of people have chimed in on it and liked it, so definitely make sure you watch that. We're going to talk about the Chargers and Chiefs in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Great game, ended with the Chargers winning 27-21. This game had all the makings of what you expected an AFC West matchup to now be. Jim Harbaugh coach team against the Andy Reid coach team. So two great coaches, two well-coached teams. Patrick Mahomes, still in my opinion, the best quarterback in the NFL. Going up against Justin Herbert, who's trying to prove that he's one of the elite guys. I just think it was a masterful performance by Justin Herbert, putting up 318 passing yards, 25 or 34, 3 touchdowns. Very, very great performance by Herbert. The type of performance he needed to start the season, especially after the last time we saw him. It was against the Houston Texans, and he got fucking dog walked in that playoff game. So great to see that. Also, it was fantastic to see how the Chargers defense played. I thought the Chargers defense did a lot of great things, attacking the Chiefs offense and making life hell for Patrick Mahomes, and taking away a lot of his weapons and forcing him to be one-dimensional. But again, it being Patrick Mahomes, forcing him to be one-dimensional, forces him to do some magical shit. So Pat doing what he does, he was the leading rusher for the Chiefs with 57 yards. He had 6 carries and he had a touchdown. So again, Patrick Mahomes doing what he does best, making magic. Unfortunately, though, for Patrick Mahomes, his running game abandoned him Friday night. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's health with Pacheco, if it's, Kareem Hunt's just a year older and a day slower. I don't know. But their rushing attack was just fucking dreadful. They weren't able to really get anything going. It was really on Pat's arm and legs for them to win the game. I mean, again, to give you these stats, Patrick Mahomes had 57 yards rushing. Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Pacheco, 5 carries, 25 yards. Kareem Hunt, 5 carries, 16 yards. Not getting it done. Neither one of them scored a touchdown. Longest run was Pacheco's 10-yard run between him and Kareem Hunt. Patrick Mahomes had a 15-yard run, so even his run was longer than theirs. That type of production from the running back position is not adequate. It's not going to do anything to help defeat any of the teams in the AFC West, let alone the AFC, and put you back in a position to get back to the Super Bowl. So the Chiefs have a lot of work to do. But if you're the Chargers, again, they look legit. I liked how Morion Hampton played. I even felt that Quentin Johnston, who was a guy who really, really has taken hell, a much maligned receiver, a guy who really gets a lot of disrespect because of the drops. I mean, to the point where even his preseason tape is being reviewed on how bad he is. So it was great to see him show up. Keenan Allen being the safety blanket that he was. Very great things that you had to see. If you were a Chargers fan, you liked a lot of what you saw. I mean, even Keenan Allen, his 7 receptions for 68 yards. Happy to see that. Now, again, if you're Kansas City, got to fix that running game. You got Philadelphia at home in week 2. I think it's going to be imperative for the Kansas City Chiefs to really figure out what's going on with that, because if you're playing Philadelphia, you come with that type of rushing attack, you're going to get Patrick Mahomes killed. You're going to get Mahomes killed. So interesting to see how this will all play out, but shout out to the Chargers and shout out to Jim Harbaugh for getting this team in position and ready to play this game. Big game that was on the road, big game against a division rival, and they definitely showed up and showed out. Now, this next game that we're going to get into in my opinion, was one of the most exciting games of the weekend outside of Bills-Ravens. Jets-Steelers. Did not think I was going to be saying that on this Monday morning or Monday afternoon now. Didn't expect to say that, but Jets-Steelers was by far the best fucking game one of the best games on Sunday. The game ended 34-32 with the Steelers eking out the victory. There's a lot of things to really touch on in this game. For one, Justin Fields and that rushing attack, I mean, it looks like a breath of fresh air for the New York Jets. Last year, they were, right around the bottom of the league as far as rushing attack, attempts and in yards. They weren't really able to get anything, stabilized or done last year because they were really behind the 8 ball in a lot of games. This year, game 1, that attack, that'll help you win a lot of games if you're the New York Jets. Got to be excited from what you saw there from that. Aaron Rodgers, though. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, for a guy who took a lot of shit last year for being called old, fucking washed, done, he really looked great. 22 of 30, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns. Definitely the type of performance that you expected from this guy. You see now why Pittsburgh waited for him. You see now why Pittsburgh held out as long as they could to make sure he was healthy and right and able and willing to play. If he has performances like this, I mean, he gives you 7 to 8 games like this year, their defense can win you a few more games. This team has a real legitimate chance to really make some damage in the AFC. So got to give Aaron Rodgers credit. It's one game, but still, nonetheless, best game he's had probably in a year. Got to give him a shitload of credit for that. Justin Fields also cannot, I would be remiss if I didn't mention he played. Justin Fields was electric, 16 to 22. So very efficient passing the ball. He had 1 touchdown, 218 passing yards. He looked finally like the guy that we were all hoping he would be possibly a year or 2 ago. Efficient in the passing game, make the necessary throws, make accurate throws. But when you have to run, fucking destroy whoever is in front of you. Just be the best player, the best athlete that you've been in those situations. He kind of showcased that yesterday. I was definitely glad to see that. The rushing attack period for the Jets, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen. And it's funny because Breece Hall's name ended up in a lot of trade speculation throughout the offseason. A lot of things that were being said that maybe he might not be there. I'll be honest with you. After that performance yesterday, you'd be a fool to get rid of Breece Hall. 19 carries, 107 rushing yards. He didn't score, but he was averaging damn near 6 yards per carry, so you got to be excited about that. The Pittsburgh Steelers rushing attack was not there, so definitely a lot to be desired. But you're happy with what you got out of DK Metcalf. You're the Steelers, 4 for 83. You also are happy with what you got out of Calvin Austin. In comparison with the Jets, Garrett Wilson, good game. Outside of, that drop he had from that Jalen Ramsey hit, 7 catches, 95 yards. You were happy with his performance. Key takeaways, though, Steelers look legitimate. The Jets definitely look better. The Jets cannot have those sloppy mistakes and turnovers like they had yesterday. They didn't commit as many penalties as they did last year in the series of games that they played. However, the performance that they put out there was well enough to win, but when you factor in the turnover on the kickoff return, you factor in the sloppy turnover, sloppy personal foul penalties, it's self-inflicted wounds that just put you behind the 8 ball and just put you in a situation where you're not going to win and you're going to lose games that you shouldn't win. So definitely a heartbreaker if you're the Jets. Like Aaron Glenn said, they're not in the moral victory, so definitely something to hang their hat on. But if you're the Steelers and the Jets, a lot of things to be inspired about from that game yesterday. Very exciting game, I will say. Both teams look well coached. Both teams look energetic. Both teams just look very focused and poised. Pittsburgh definitely got to figure out what's going on with that running game. That running game was definitely something to be desired. 37 yards from Jalen Warren is just not fucking cutting it. But again, outstanding performance from both teams yesterday. And going further down the list. Now, this game was a bit of a snoozer, but obviously for NFC East rules, I had to pay attention. Giants and Commanders. Now, the Giants got dog walked 21-6. And when you say that, I want to make sure I give credit to their defense. Their defense played very well. They held the Commanders to 21 points. It seemed like at various points the Commanders were going to pull away because it just, the Giants' offense in the first half was just fucking terrible. Grand total, the Giants had 79 yards at halftime. So that clearly is just, it's not doing it in any way, shape, or form. Russell Wilson looks like shit. He just clearly is not the guy anymore. 17 of 37, 168 passing yards. Not great. Mediocre, pedestrian at best. And especially when you get in the red zone and you have, you fumble and, thank God he recovered it, but just nowhere near where he needs to be talent-wise or effort-wise or energy-wise. The rushing attack was abysmal for the Giants yesterday. Russell Wilson was your leading rusher. When you have Tyrone Tracy, who proved to you he could be a serviceable running back, showed you last year that he's, somebody that you could possibly rely on. And the fact that you allowed the Commanders to just take Tracy away, you didn't even really try to involve him too much really in the passing game. Seeing here, looking at it, he had 2 receptions for 11 yards. So not bad, but, 10 carries, 24 yards, not fucking great, by any stretch of the imagination. So, and they tried to get a whole running back by committee thing going yesterday. Tracy, Singletary, Cam Scatterbo. Cam Scatterbo did have that one highlight play where it seemed like he shook like 2 or 3 guys, but a lot to be desired there for the Giants. Offense was definitely lacking in the first half. To the point where Malik Neighbors is blowing up on the sidelines. It looks like him and Dayball are trying to keep things going, keep things positive. But, Malik Neighbors, I understand his frustration. This team has been quite fucking garbage since he's been there. They've asked this guy to come in there, be a leader, be a winner. And it just really seems like he's there amongst a litany or a quartet of bums. It just really doesn't seem like, a lot of those guys have the energy or effort. Just maybe they're not good enough, but the energy just was clearly not there, especially in the division game, first game of the season, on the road. It just looked terrible. But key takeaways from this game, the Commanders' running game and play calling by Cliff Kingsbury looked tremendously better. You had a guy out there by Jacory Krosky Merritt, 7th round pick this year out of the draft for the Commanders. 10 carries, 82 yards, averaging 8 yards per carry, had a touchdown. That was in large part a lot to do because Josh. I was mixing Josh Allen. Sorry. Jaden Daniels. He and Merritt were doing a lot of that, run pass, read option game where really kept the Giants on their heels, didn't really know what they expected where to come from. Running back by committee approach. Jaden Daniels was the second leading rusher for the Commanders with 68 rushing yards on 11 attempts. So just gives you an indication of how crazy that rushing game was. Also, Jaden Daniels was speaking of, he's getting better and he controlled the game at a way easier pace than he did last year. You kind of see it's getting a little bit easier for him. And last but not least, the Giants just suck ass. Russell Wilson's performance was just nowhere near up to par. And they got to figure out what other playmakers can they surround around Malik Neighbors to really make this team viable going into the rest of the season, because 6 points against a division rival and you haven't even played the rest of the division yet, not great. Going a bit further here, we're going to go to the 4:25 game yesterday between the Packers and Lions. This one was a beatdown. Now, the score probably is not as indicative of what my statement just said, how it just came out. It was exclaimed to you, but it was an ass whooping. It came off like somebody, getting beat up for their lunch money, getting beat up for the rent money. It came off like that. The Packers are not to be fucked with this year, and I need people to really understand that. Last year, I really thought that this Packers team was going to make the leap that I think they're going to take this year, obviously with the acquisition of Micah Parsons. This team is completely, defensively, they are going to be a problem. They made life for Jared Goff hell. Johnny Morton, who was the offensive coordinator, God bless him, because I know he was pissed off by mid-game yesterday. They really had no continuity, no flow, nothing going. I mean, from the first drive on, they just really couldn't really get things established. You got Green Bay jumping out to a 10-point lead early in the game. No explosive plays by the Lions. It seems like the Packers were just getting whatever they wanted offensively. Jared Goff, 31-39, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 225 passing yards. A lot of attempts for that minimal amount of yards. So clearly it just shows you he was trying to take what the Packers were giving him, and it wasn't much. Jordan Love had a great game, a very efficient game, 16-22, 2 touchdowns, 188 passing yards. Made a lot of the necessary key throws, very good decision-making yesterday. Got to be happy with what you saw there in comparison to some of the decision-making that he made last year. Definitely happy for Jordan Love. Rushing attack-wise, there really was no rushing attack for the Detroit Lions. The Green Bay Packers took that rushing attack away. I mean, literally, David Montgomery had 11 carries for 25 yards. That should tell you everything you need to know. Jahmyr Gibbs, complete non-factor. Sam Laporta was the leading receiver, and this is with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams healthy. So you got to give Jeff Hafley and that Packers defense all credit in the world. They had a great game plan prepared. They took anything that the Lions wanted to do well or can do well, they took it away. A lot of shit talking from Detroit in the offseason. Got to shut the fuck up. See, this is the problem. When you don't win anything and you haven't won, and you kind of putting yourself in a situation where you're doing a lot of talking, but there's nothing in the trophy case, and you haven't even put up a NFC championship banner. You haven't even put that up. You got to be careful when you're doing a lot of this talking, because now, look, week before the season starts, your division rival gets so much better that now you don't really have a game plan on how to defend them. It was the first time I've seen Penei Sewell get bullied and get bodied, and Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness was just getting whatever they wanted. Getting whatever they wanted off the defensive line. So credit to Jeff Hafley, credit to Matt LaFleur, credit to the Green Bay Packers. This team is definitely something teams are going to have to be prepared playing up against that pass rush. But my main takeaways, ultimately from the game, outside of those things, one, the Micah Parsons effect is legit. Two, this defense is going to be a problem. The Green Bay Packers are definitely going to be a team that's going to be possibly in the Final Four in the end with the way that defense is playing. And last but not least, I don't want to hear anyone tell me that the Lions coordinators not being there is not an issue. Them not having their coordinators is clearly an issue. It's clearly a problem. We've seen it in one game against a division rival. It doesn't look good. Now, there's going to be another game, of course, in Detroit, but this is not indicative of they got things figured out. This continuity, it doesn't spell continuity. It spells a lot of fucking disaster and a lot of, probably going to win 10 games this year, maybe 9. That's what it's smelling like that. It's not really smelling like a team that won 13, 14 games a year ago. So credit to the Packers. They're definitely prepared to play and definitely look like a beast within the NFC. And last but not least, we're talking a recap of games last night. I would be remiss if I did not mention that Bills-Ravens game. Oh, my God. First of all, it could be defined as an instant classic. I would not be mad if anyone defined it as that. I would not be mad if anyone gave complete credit to the Buffalo Bills. for their performance, for the gutsy performance that they pulled out by coming back. I mean, at one point they were down 40-25. You know, it seemed like the game was pretty much over. They had a 0% chance of probability of winning at one point. It was very indicative that the Baltimore Ravens were going to win this game again on the road, beating this Buffalo team at home again in the regular season. It just had all the writings and makings on the wall of that situation. That was not the case. This was an epic choke by the Ravens in any way, stretch of or form that you could try to write this out or spell this out. The Ravens choked. The Ravens, now this is not foreign to the Ravens. The Ravens have, in the past 10 years, have had many situations where they have blown multiple leads. I believe Jim Harbaugh has the record, 10 blown leads, most by a coach this century. That's not good. That's not good when you're trying to win a Super Bowl. That's not good when you're a guy that's already, there's a lot of speculation that maybe, you need to be changed because this team has a lot of necessary pieces and maybe it's you. That's not good. Now, you want to give Harbaugh credit because he's got a Super Bowl ring. He's already got a trophy in the case. He's bought some cachet with the organization and the franchise. However, he's not the only one out there doing this. I mean, his coaching is definitely an indication of this, but guys are out there fucking up. But that's a major indication of your coach because it seems like it's a philosophy or a mindset. To blow that many leads and to hold a record for a coach in a century for that many blown leads, that's not fucking great. And now you're in a situation where you blew a game where you should be 1-0 and now you're 0-1. You lost by 1 point to a team that had a 0% chance probability of beating you 12 to 24 hours, like literally 14 hours ago. I mean, that's crazy. That even then, when you sit back and you think about it, it's like, yeah, how the hell did they lose that game? It came down to, again, got to give credit to Josh Allen. He wasn't my MVP selection last year, but he was definitely the MVP selection last year. He showed it again last night why he was that guy. 394 passing yards, 33 or 46. He had 2 touchdowns, very electric, very much the catalyst for the Buffalo Bills. The rushing attack was not there for Buffalo last night. That was more or less by committee. James Cook only had 44 yards rushing. Did have a touchdown late in the game, but again, a lot to be desired there. Keon Coleman had a good performance, 112 yards receiving. Also, as well as Zay Flowers, 7 receptions, 143 yards and a touchdown. Definitely had a good game there. Again, liked what I saw. Both teams were fighting it out, doing everything that they were supposed to, giving the effort, the energy. This was an epic choke by the Ravens. I mean, again, don't bullshit yourself. Don't try to overanalyze it. The Ravens blew this game. The Ravens had this game in hand. But again, this just, to me, is just more indicative of what I think is going to happen to them in the postseason. Let's be honest for a moment here. The Ravens should have been in the Super Bowl arguably 2 out of the past 3 seasons. And why have they not been in the Super Bowl? It's a Lamar Jackson fumble. It's a Zay Flowers fumble at the goal line. It's Mark Andrews not securing the ball on a first down or in the end zone to win the game. It's Lamar throwing interceptions. It's so many different things, a multitude of different things that play a factor that really just puts you in a situation where how in the fucking hell can you have confidence that this team is going to win a Super Bowl when they can't close out leads in games that are shorthanded that they've won on the road? I get it's the NFL, and I get it that they're professionals as well. This game, we should not be talking about the Ravens losing this game right now. We should be talking about we should talk about the Bills and how they need to really reform their defense. Because you can't, if you're a Bills fan, yeah, Lamar Jackson runs for a lot of yards. Yeah, Zay Flowers was on one. Yeah, Derrick Henry was just king. He was in King Henry rare form. I mean, damn. When you're already struggling to stop the run and then they're just getting whatever they want through the air, you're going to play teams that have, they may not have Derrick Henry, but they're going to play teams that have a comparable rushing attack. How do you prepare for that? That is something that's going to be a major question for the Buffalo Bills going forward. But ultimately, my key takeaways from this game, this wild and crazy game, Buffalo's resilience is nothing short of amazing. Like I said, this is an instant classic. It just shows you why Buffalo is never truly out of a football game that they're in. Baltimore has lost like this, again, numerous times. And you just can't trust this team going. This is not a team I feel like going into February you could trust. I do expect them to have more games like this throughout the season because, again, too many times we've seen it happen. And Derrick Henry, I mean, damn. Who the fuck would have thought Derrick Henry would have fumbled? Rushing for as many yards as he did, having the performance that he had, it just shows you taking care of the ball, fundamentals, those things always matter. When you least expect it, that's when it hurts you. And before we wrap this episode up, like I said, we're going to touch on a few house cleaning notes. I want to speak on Jameson Williams getting his contract. Now, a lot of people got the news like I did when I believe it was late Saturday night. Jameson Williams got his contract. Now, it was big news. It was obviously 3 years, $83 million. Major contract for him, major payday for Jameson Williams. He deserves it. This guy came into the league with an ACL injury. There was a lot of question marks, a lot of heat that the Lions had took for bringing this guy onto the roster. They brought him in. Everything's been great since. Looking at his contract, it essentially breaks down to $27 million for average salary, $27.6 million for average salary. Total guaranteed throughout the contract is $67 million guaranteed. Again, he's going to get the bulk of this money for the next couple of years. He's pretty much on the roster until 2030, so they got him for the next 5. It's a 3-year extension, so it locks him up for the next 5 years because he's already still currently on his rookie deal. This was imperative for the Lions because he is one of their speed demons. He is one of their playmakers. He is one of their big play threats. So make no mistake about it. If they lost him, whether free agency in a year or two or trade, something of that nature, this would be a monumental loss for the Lions, and they would definitely have to replace him. However, that being said, the contract that he's getting paid, it is not the worst in the world, but we must be honest with ourselves if we're talking about a cash breakdown of it. I mean, this guy is getting $15 million next year. So again, he's not breaking the bank, but he's getting, low, that on the cusp money. This seems to me, and I'm looking at it here on spotrac.com. It seems like to me they realized, let's pay him now, let's give him a boatload of money now up front. Ensure that we have him, ensure that he's a part of the organization, a part of the program going forward, because we're not sure we're going to be able to give him that third contract. Again, $67 million guaranteed, average annual salary at $27.6 million. He's only going to earn a base salary this year of $2.6 million, roster bonus of $450,000. So, and the cap hit's only $5.4 million. So he's not even going to affect the cap this year. A lot of that money is not going to really go into effect until next year. So Lions were smart by doing this. Slightly overpay, but you kind of had to do it because if you let him go, you're technically screwed and you're in a situation where teams are going to be able to key in a little bit better on your offense. And last but not least, we're talking about contracts. Cam Hayward. Now, Cam Hayward, all offseason we have been hearing that Cam Hayward had been bitching about a new contract, that he had been speculating that there was going to be, he wasn't going to play if his deal didn't get revisited or reworked or if a new deal had came about. Well, mysteriously, Sunday afternoon, early Sunday morning going into the afternoon, we hear great news about a revised deal for Cam Hayward. As it goes, it breaks down like this. His new contract is a 2-year basically a 2-year extension, $29 million contract, including a $14.7 million signing bonus. So essentially $16 million guaranteed, an average annual salary of $14.5 million. This year he's going to make $1.3 million and a roster bonus of $13.4. So you figure out that's how they're going to make sure he gets paid and kick that money back to him. He's going to carry a cap hit of $19.6 million. So clearly they can get out of this contract after this year. Now when I say that the revised deal, the extension technically came last year. They revised a little bit of his money to give him a little injection of cash. Looking at it now, he's going to make this year $13.4 million. He's going to make 4.9 as far as a signing bonus and as far as signing proration. So he's got some money he's going to have coming there. 2026, they definitely got him there for a little bit more. Now it's a little bit as far as the cap hit if they were to cut him. As far as his cap hit next year, he's only at $19.1 million compared to $19.6 this year. So $5 million difference. However, it's about almost $1.3 million difference as far as his roster bonus next year. So he's got a little bit of injection of cash. That roster bonus, so for 2026, at $12.95 million, That will be due the second league day of 2026. So that'll be something interesting to keep an eye on if he gets that. So remains to be seen, but Cam Hayward definitely worked his magic and got his revised contract. That's going to do it for this recap of week 1, guys. I love you guys as always. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day. And don't forget to check out Monday Night Football. I believe it's Bears. I think we got the Bears. Who do we got on Monday Night Football tonight, guys? I want to say it's Bears and Vikings. One that says Bears and Vikings. Give me 1 second here. Yep. I think that's what we're looking at. Yes, Bears, Vikings. So definitely make sure you check that out at 8:20. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening.